Good morning and happy Monday to everybody. This is Mornings with Michael for information and educational purposes only. Our word of the day is profundity. Profundity, deep insight, great depth of knowledge or thought, a statement or idea that shows great knowledge or insight. Carla was overwhelmed by the profundity of her emotions after the breakup. So that is our word of the day. Let's go to our S&P 500 heat map. Refresh this, make sure we got the latest and greatest. So the PCE inflation came in lower than expected, so it seemed like things are cooling on the inflation front. NVIDIA is up 0.6. Some of the other semiconductors kind of bounced. Amazon is retreating a little bit after its big move. Apple, Google, and Meta are pulling back a little bit as well. Financials are up. Wells Fargo is a leader in the financials. United Healthcare and energy is bouncing a little bit as healthcare cyclical pullback. So that is the story there. If you're concerned about your long-held assets that you've spent a lifetime building up, might consider this. It beats index investing by about 5% per year. Goes up the step, goes up the step when the market goes up, and does not come back down the step when the market goes down. Index investing bobs and weaves with the market. So there you have that. If you're interested to find out more, feel free to reach out to us. And let us go to the charts. Here's our stock of the day. Had moved higher. It was a little bit of a pullback towards the end of the day. Yeah, let me just go to our ETF of the day. It is software, which is kind of a repeat from earlier in the week. Software continues to work on the right side of its base here. We'll see if it gets through the pivot area. As you can see, it's oscillating in this Darvis style box. Nicholas Darvis, who wrote How I Made $2 Million in the Market. He did that in, I believe it was the late 1950s. He was a dancer who danced all over the world and had telexes sent to his hotels that he was staying at. So that is the story there. Let us go to our US dollar index. Dollar got stronger, so crypto got weaker. Had a little bit of a pullback yesterday and it bounced today, up 0.07%. Let me see if we I'm going to pause for a moment as it shows our other charts we're going to go to are not. So this is what the Bitcoin is doing. Came up to 62,000, and like it's done most days, it has turned tail, but it has gone deeper into the red, getting pretty close to 60,000. So it has been here before. It's been down to 59,000. We thought it would go up. It did, but it just hasn't been able to break out of this range. So let's go back to our charts. So that's $1. Silver is tried to move higher and is retracing on the strength of the dollar. Gold is a little slow to come up here. Is retracing as well. And take a look at copper. Copper tried to move higher, is up slightly, up close to 1%, but it's pulling back. The copper mining companies, Arrow, tried to move higher and is pulling back as well. Tech is pulling back as well. So there we go. Let's take a look at our bond yields. Bond yields continue to retrace. Still right around 4.254 yield interest, but it is off 1.44%. 20-year. Interesting, the 20-year is jumping up. It's up 2.7%. Sure, I was reading that right. 20-year jumps up to the, so this falls to the declining 10-day moving average, and the 20-year jumps up to the 20-day moving average. Let's take a look at the VIX, or volatility index. Pull our screen down a little bit. The VIX hit a bottom, and they're jumping up. Went down to a low of 11.87, high of 12.5. S&P 500 tried to move higher and is declining, pretty much in line with the VIX going higher. The equal weight in the S&P 500 tried to do the same, is declining, down 0.23%. The NASDAQ tried to go higher as well and is pulling back to the 10-day moving average. And the equal weight tried to break out and is pulling back to the 20-day. See what our small capitalization stocks are. I think the 20-year has some effect on trying to move higher and moving down lower to the 50 and 20-day moving average on the 20-year jump in yields. Finally, look at the Dow Jones. All the market indexes tried to move higher and moving lower here. So that is the story. On to our world news. Federal Reserve of Richmond President Thomas Barkin said inflation battle still hasn't been won, and the U.S. economy is likely to remain resilient as long as unemployment remains low and asset valuations high. So we'll take a quick look at what the PCE core came in at today. A change of 0% in May from April, and a 2.6% year-over-year increase of headline PCE price index. In April, it rose by 0.3% month over month and 2.7% year-over-year. 0.1% increase in May from April, and a 2.6% year-over-year in core price index. So there we have it. Shows progress for the Federal Reserve. Step in the right direction with prices virtually unchanged during the month. So there's our PCE inflation. On to consumer news. Nike shares tumble 14%. Now it's down to 20%. As it reported Q4 EPS 99 cents versus estimate 83. Q4 revenues 12.6 billion versus 12.81 at quarter end. Inventories were 7.5 billion, down 11%. So, reported weakness in sneakers with Q4 Converse revenue 480 million, down 18% year over year versus Bloomberg's estimate of 545.6%. So there, Nike is tumbling big time today. American Outdoor Brands, Q4 adjusted EPS 0% versus estimated loss of 0.07, and they are jumping up 2.61% today. And sales rose 9.7% year over year. Curris Sushi, we haven't looked at this one in a while. Sales came in at 63.1 versus estimate of 65.4, and they are diving big time, down almost 24% today. So we got a lot of diving here on the markets today. Boeing may raise party status to 737 MAX probe if it violates rules again, NTSB warns. And they're just off 0.57%. Lindsay raises quarterly dividend to 36 cents from 35 cents a share. Tried to move higher and then it kind of dove down 4.5%. Accolade. Q1 EPS 35 cents versus estimate of 48-cent loss. It is diving nonetheless. Eisai and Biogen. Eisai is not coming up. Biogen launched Alzheimer drug Leqembi in China. Biogen is up slightly, 0.23% after hitting its 200-day moving average. It's reclined back into the kind of the base. Guardant Health upgraded to buy from neutral at Guggenheim and didn't help its stock any. It's down 2.31%. Novavax, the US ACIP, recommends use of authorized and approved 2024-2025 COVID-19 vaccines. Novavax continues pulling back towards its 50-day moving average. On to technology, media, and telecom. Nokia to acquire Infinera. Nokia is slow to come up. It's up little over 1%. It's like a penny stock. In a $2.3 billion deal to scale up the optical network with a deal price of $6.65 per share, represents a premium of 26.4%. And in Infinera, also a penny stock, jumps above 6. It's up close to 17%. Apple's smartphone shipments in China surged 39.6% in May from the same month the year prior. They're just kind of holding into the base, just holding right along this 10-day moving average. CCC Intelligent Solution announces offering of 30 million shares of common stock, and their stock dives on the dilution, down 3.74%. SAP upgraded to outperform from market performance at BMO Capital. They're up 0.38%. And Trump Media and Telecom and shares of Funware, which was acquired by Trump's 2020 presidential reelection campaign to build a phone app, are both rising following Donald Trump's performance at the debate last night with Joe Biden, and then they turned tail afterwards. So take a look at Fund. They tried to rise and hit their 50-day moving average and turn tail as well. And the National Football League will have to pay roughly $4.7 billion in damages, a figure that could potentially be tripled under federal law after losing a case over anti-competitive features of its NFL Sunday ticket broadcasting package. Bloomberg reported the jury in Los Angeles federal court determined that the league conspired with AT&T DirecTV to increase the price of subscriptions to watch away games. So look at AT&T. They're actually rising on this deal, up 1.6%. So that's our story in the news. Let's go on to What's moving up 5% on 100% increase in volume. See where professional money managers are moving their money today. And Tyrix working on a Darvis box, up close to 10% on the day. Pretty huge volume yesterday and pretty close to it today. EPS was down 162%. Still, this is rising up. A nationwide dispatch network providing mobile workforce communications. Comerica Holding Bank is up big time, 6.44%, but see if they're working on a bottoming base. Hit low of 45.32, and now they're up to near 51. First Horizon holding company for First Tennessee Bank. They're moving up pretty close to 5.7%. Longboard Pharma, focused on developing novel and transformative medicines for neurological diseases, is up nearly 19% today. Earnings are up for 34 days. We've got huge volume going on there. We've got 12 items in this category. Moonlake Immunotherapy looks like it's working on a bottoming base as well. Got some buying right over here, and has continued buying as it's up 5.6%. MVB Financial. Looks like it may be working on a bottoming base itself. It's up 5.67%. 2 days of pretty good volume, as it's been in a long downtrend. Nanonuclear Energy is recent IPO at $4, and it really went way up here to, looks like 37.51 was a high, pulled back to its 10-day moving average, and now it's moving up. It's up 40% today. We'll take a look, see if there's any news. Doesn't really see there's any news right there. May have to look further into that. Protagonist Therapeutics jumped up 7.9%. Earnings aren't for a few days. Got some pretty big volume here. Declined a little bit, and now it's really jumping today. Up close to 8%. Q32 Bio. Looks like a lot of biotech again. Here jumping, big pullback. I guess it's trying to work on a bottoming base. Up nearly 15% today. Sonda Senior Living has 72 senior living communities, total of 8,000 residents. Had a pretty big high here, tried to move higher and then pulled back, up 9% today. Taylor Devices. Taylor Devices is having a difficulty coming back. Here we go. Up 5.48%. Has declined below all of its moving averages. Got back to the 20-day, up 5.48%. And finally, we got Wheeler Real Estate Investment Trust, a REIT. It is up 23% today. Pretty hard to see on this, so let's move up to at least our hourly. Move up to our 30-minute chart. Here we can see it jumping up and kind of pulling back. go to our other screen. What's up 10%, 200% increase in volume. We just got two companies. Longboard Pharma, which we looked at earlier. And I believe we looked at nano-nuclear energy as well. So that is a story. So Viking, I think, was referenced in the news. That's something that we're trading. We bought right in this area. Big move, big breakout. Just see how far this goes. This is the IPO base over here. So this would have been perfect time to buy. We just kind of keep riding this crest. And now we're going to be waiting for the first institutional base coming out. Take a look at the FANG new stocks. Pulling back a little bit, but Apple, we currently have in one of the portfolios we're managing, pulling back a little bit. So we got a little bit of a pullback with the Meta platforms. They're down, retracing about 2%, pulling back to the 10-day moving average. Not too much to be concerned about at the moment. Mr. Softy, Microsoft, pulling back slightly as well. Amazon made a couple of day big move. It's pulling back as well. So this is all leading to the S&P 500 pulling back. Look at Tesla. Tesla moved up to 203 and now is pulling back to 197. I believe we got in this at right around 190, 194, and we put a covered call at 210. So that is the story with Tesla. So we'll see if we can get our charts to work. We've had a little, I think, a little internet issue again. Seems to be working again. So this was Tesla. We were just talking about Eli Lilly. A little bit of pullback as it works towards its profit area. We looked at Amazon, Apple, Mr. Softy, I believe we looked at as well. We looked at Facebook. And here we got Google. Google is pulling back pretty strong today. Down close to 2%. NVIDIA tried to bounce, was up, I believe, to 126, 126.41, actually 127.71, and it pulled back. A lot of selling coming in at the, I think, the last hour. Look at some of other holdings here. Elf Beauty, it's right in the middle. It did pop out of the base yesterday and pull back to the 10-day moving average. So if you wanted to add, that would have been a nice place to add. Shift4 Payments just continues moving higher. We'll see if it can break out of this area. Looks like it could be bought right here, bought at 62.50 with an option. And CrowdStrike tried to move higher and then pull back a little bit right into the 10-day moving average. Brothers doing about the same. Was kind of trading right at where it ended yesterday, and it's pulling back a little bit. Not doing too bad, just kind of slowly motoring higher. CrowdStrike interest was a best stock for the month of June up until today. So we'll see how that closes out. EPO financials is up slightly, 0.08%. Wells Fargo was the best financial stock today. Got a nice jump, up 3.41%. Got a couple of the oil. Weatherford tried to move higher and pulled back. In the uranium mining, big sell-off. Denison Mines tried to break out and pull back to $2 after it hit its 50-day moving average. So it's working on a bottom of the base. We'll just see when it hits bottom and can start working on the right side. We do have covered calls at $2.50 on this one for July. So we got out a MicroStrategy earlier today as the Bitcoin just turned tail. So we got out of that one. I think we do have 20 shares left. So we're just kind of watching that for now. IoT continues its strong move up to 33.70. Kind of picked this up at 29 on the options, and it just continues performing pretty well. Kava Mediterranean Grill. Bouncing off of the 10-day moving average, just kind of inching up here. We initially bought this at 31. ARM did look like it was shooting up, and now it is pulled back into the base, pulled back to the 10-day moving average, right around 163.80. Let's see if there is anything else we'd like to showcase. Snap, we did put on an option trade at 16 to 19. It pulled back a little bit yesterday, bounced a little bit, 0.24% today. And I think that is our story for today. This has been Mornings with Michael for information and educational information only. We're going to have our update on Sunday on the economic update. But in the meantime, I hope everybody has a great weekend. Keep the faith, keep going out there, working on your goals, working on your activities to support those goals, and we'll all get to surprise everyone around us. In the meantime, have a great weekend.